All right, welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into something truly fascinating, a real journey of grassroots engineering and esoteric design. We're looking closely at the Design Pyramid Project, which beautifully documents the incredible evolving legacy of William or Bill Brown. Now, if you follow bioenergetic architecture, you probably already know that these designs have evolved from simple backyard wooden structures into highly complex, multi-layered frequency devices. Today, we're actually going to look at the photographic documentation of Bill's physical creations to really trace that legacy. We'll examine the blueprints and the incredible physical builds to see exactly how this technology was engineered step by step right in his very own workshop. Let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for the breakdown. We're going to cover 1. The vision of William Brown. 2. Early wooden pyramid designs. 3. The copper tensor ring chair. 4. Shifting to the Nubian pyramid. 5. Anatomy of the apex capstone. And finally, 6. Brown's legacy in action.
Starting us off with Section 1, the vision of William Brown, healing spaces. Before we get totally lost in the heavy engineering and the electrical specs, it's absolutely crucial to ground this project in its human element. These incredible photos show exactly who these devices were built for, giving us an intimate glimpse into Bill's life and his legacy. Right here is Bill's wife, Lucina, who is a Reiki specialist and massage therapist, using that copper table design to energize herself. We also get to see friends testing his latest chair devices over in Poland. And this really grounds these incredibly complex inventions in their intended, personal, therapeutic application. It's not just theory, it's a living, breathing project meant to foster wellness for the people he cares about most. Moving right along to Section 2, early wooden pyramid designs, the foundation. Just look at the sheer scale of that structure on the left. That is the first outdoor wooden double pyramid, complete with an inner icosahedron. It's massive, right? It took up a significant portion of Bill's yard. But as his creations evolved, his focus shifted inward, literally and figuratively. Over on the right, you can see this dramatic shift to a much more focused, indoor wooden structure, built specifically around a treatment table. You can actually see the engineering starting to prioritize the individual user's localized space, rather than just generating a large, generalized outdoor field.
All right, Section 3, the copper tensor ring chair, evolving the tech.
So this brings us to a major turning point in William's creations, the big shift to copper. As his designs matured, he moved away from just using wood. Now, if you're wondering what a tensor ring is, in bioenergetic design, it's a specialized twisted wire loop intended to create a concentrated frequency or energy field. The creators use these specifically for frequency emission and chakra balancing, essentially focusing the energy directly onto the person sitting inside the structure.
And this comparison brilliantly illustrates the leap from concept to reality. Contrast that digital 3D rendering of the relaxation chair with the incredible photo of the actual physical build right there in Bill's workspace. Notice that copper tensor ring coil plate positioned underneath the chair and those rings meant to be lowered from overhead for meditation. You can really see how meticulously he brought this heavy copper system to life, matching the intended design perfectly to wrap around the user's space.
But the design definitely didn't stop there. According to the source documents, there was a massive turning point in Bill's engineering journey. He writes, the decision to change the copper pipe triangle to a full pyramid design shifted the energy dynamics of the project. This wasn't just some minor tweak. We are talking about a fundamental architectural redesign meant to completely alter how the space functions energetically. And these photos give us the visual proof of that exact architectural shift. On one side, we see the earlier, simpler setup, a copper pipe triangle frame suspended over the chair. But look at the next photo. This is Bill's very first true, fully encompassing pyramid application. That single triangle was expanded into a three-dimensional pyramidal structure that hovers right over the user, creating this distinct, enclosed, energetic geometry. Which brings us to Section 4, shifting to the Nubian pyramid, the Henning integration. In early 2026, the project took a massive leap forward. Bill's foundational work actually merged with the designs of Andreas Henning from Germany. Just look at the resulting upgrades captured in these photos. Henning integrated advanced orgone and tensor technology into a specific Nubian pyramid shape. This was a huge upgrade from the earlier wooden or simple copper frames we were just looking at. You can see all the new components here. the toroidal apex capstone up top, the 7 total copper tensor ring coils for chakra balancing, and that glowing copper frequency plate resting at the very bottom. It is a highly sophisticated, multi-tiered system.
Now, to really understand this structure, we have to look at the math behind it. The entire Nubian pyramid relies on a precise esoteric measurement known as the sacred continent cubit. Hennig custom-designed the unique shape, the base length, and those supporting brass tubes to correspond exactly to this specific unit of measurement. The goal here? To achieve a perfectly harmonious concept that strictly adheres to these sacred lengths and angles.
Let's move to Section 5, Anatomy of the Apex Capstone, a component breakdown. Okay, let's actually pop the hood and break down the machinery of this device because the craftsmanship is truly something to behold. If we walk vertically through the core components, we start down at the bottom with a custom toroidal orgone base. Moving up to the middle layers, it incorporates a really specific arrangement of crystals. We're talking rose quartz, amethyst, black tourmaline, all sandwiched between metal layers. Finally, reaching the very top, we have the apex rock crystals surrounded by custom brass rings. Seriously, just marvel at the sheer craftsmanship captured in this close-up photo. At its core, the pyramid houses 2 doubled rock crystals. You can clearly see the top one positioned right at the very peak, and surrounding that top crystal are 3 beautifully woven brass tensor rings. They didn't just throw any rings on there either. These are specifically tuned to the Viking cubit, the Armu cubit, and the Sacred Continent cubit. Right below them, you can see the dense layers of copper, brass, and embedded crystals perfectly preserved in that resin matrix.
And looking at the engineering specs of the base itself, it's equally impressive. It features a custom-made toroidal coil with an orgone core, engineered to have a precise resistance of exactly 96 ohms. The documentation points out that this is designed for optimal performance, requiring minimal power to emit the cleanest possible frequencies. On top of that, the whole structure is supported by 4 brass tubes cut to that Sacred Continent cubit we mentioned earlier. Each tube even features a silver-plated sleeve functioning as an independent inductive amplifier. It is this wild, highly technical blend of electrical engineering and esoteric science, all being done completely at a grassroots level.
Let's wrap things up with Section 6, Brown's Legacy in Action, the final build. Let's witness the culmination of all this engineering. This stunning photo captures the fully assembled Nubian pyramid frequency device, currently set up right now in Poland. It completely envelops the relaxation chair. I mean, think about the transformation from that first outdoor wooden structure we saw earlier to this highly calibrated, localized indoor frequency chamber. It's simply incredible. The geometry is exceptionally tight, framing the user's space with absolute precision. From this alternate angle, you can really see how those custom copper tensor ring coils built by Andreas Hennig are added as separate items. They're carefully lowered into place via a complex suspension system to complete the energetic circuit around the user. Integrating the rigid brass pyramid frame with those floating copper coils shows a seriously dynamic approach to spatial design. Notice the intricate details captured here. On one side, we have the overhead suspension system, holding the apex capstone perfectly plumb. It hangs perfectly centered. On the other side, notice the meticulous spacing of those 7 total copper tensor rings. In the bioenergetic framework, this spacing is definitely not random. It's calculated specifically to align with the body's chakras, wrapping the draped chair in a carefully measured frequency field. And finally, looking down at the floor, observe the beautifully colored toroidal base resting quietly underneath the chair. Connected by a cable running through a tube so it can be controlled by external devices, this glowing plate serves as the energetic anchor for the entire elaborate setup. It is literally the foundation of Bill and Andreas's combined technological vision. So that brings us to the end of today's breakdown. We've traced the incredible dedication and evolution of William Brown's legacy, from simple wooden garden frames to highly sophisticated 96-ohm orgone core Nubian pyramids. The sheer complexity of these physical builds, captured so beautifully in these photos, proves that grassroots esoteric design is evolving at lightning speed. It really leaves us with a compelling thought. With these kinds of technical integrations happening right in people's home workshops, how far will grassroots bioenergetic engineering go next? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep your curiosity alive.